Hello and welcome to this workshop on effective reading for your assignments. My name is Emma Dempsey and I'm a learning advisor at the University of Westminster. So the objectives for this short workshop are as follows. So firstly, I would like you to reflect on your current reading concerns around reading for assignments. Then we're going to explore some strategies in order to select relevant text and relevant parts of text in order to save you time. And lastly, I'm going to provide some tips on effective note-taking. So feel free to pause the slide here, take a minute or two or as long as you need to have a think about the following questions, and you can either write down or record your thoughts. So firstly, how confident do you feel about reading for your assignments? And if you could rate yourself a number between 1 and 10, 1 being not confident at all and 10 being very confident. Secondly, what challenges do you feel you face when reading for assignments? And what is your current style of reading and what changes would you like to make? So again, pause the slide here, take your time to reflect, and then we'll move on. So at university, no surprise, you will be expected to read more and to read more selectively, quickly, accurately, and critically. And I hope this workshop will go some way into helping with most of these. So let's get started and let's look at how to identify relevant information in order to save you time. Has this ever happened to you? Do you often spend hours reading a text only to find it may not be useful for your assignment? Maybe this is true for you. I know it's true for lots of students. So we want to save you this time because we want you to spend your time reading deeply and critically. So much of the skill about being a good reader at university, especially reading for assignments, is to locate the right part of the text quickly in order that we can spend that time reading deeply and critically. So skim reading is one of the first strategies I'm going to talk to you about. You may be familiar with this already, but it's a very important first step in reading for your assignments. Skim reading will give you an overview of a text or a part of a text, maybe a chapter, to see if it will be useful for your assignment. Skim reading is not about reading every word, far from it. It's about understanding if this text may be relevant to your needs, generally what it's about and how it's organized. And these 3 things here can really help give you a sense about a text and its usefulness for your assignment. So how to skim read. So selecting relevant books. So you will have a reading list, I'm sure, but I encourage you to go outside your reading list, and you certainly do not need to read every book on your reading list either, but you may need to select a couple from your list which are focused around your assignment. So this can definitely be used for the books on your reading list as well as those other ones that you research. So the publisher's blurb on the cover or on the back, absolutely look at this. There may be an editor's introduction as well. Have a read through that. See if the content is matching up with what you're looking for. Secondly, the contents page. Absolutely, this is one of the first places you might want to look. Look at the chapters. Does it cover what you want? Is it at the right level? But something which can be even more useful than that is actually to use the index. So the third one here, to look up an item in the index, because actually these are the keywords. The index is organized by keywords, which is actually a far more effective way to search often than the contents page. So look up a few keywords from your assignment in the index. Have a look through 1 or 2 of those pages to see actually how the author deals with that material. Is it the right kind of level of information that you're looking for? The 4th one down, absolutely. If there is an introductory chapter, it's a good idea to have a quick look at that so you can get an idea of the author's approach and the structure of the book. Secondly, if you are looking at a particular chapter, wondering whether that chapter is relevant for you, look at the headings and the subheadings within that chapter. Read the introduction, the first paragraph and the last paragraph of that chapter. If there are any tables or diagrams or illustrations, of course, look at those, they could be useful. And lastly, always look through the bibliography to see the range of the author's sources. These references as well could also be really useful follow-up references for you in your assignment. So, skimming journal articles and research papers can be slightly easier. So one of the first things to do would be to read the abstract, because the abstract will give you a summary of the whole article, the research topic, how the research was conducted, findings, conclusions. So from the abstract, you should be able to find out if this is going to be relevant to your needs or not. If you want to look further, absolutely read any headings there are. You could even read the introduction and conclusion, possibly skim read the discussion. What I would definitely do though, and something we're going to talk about later, is to read the first sentence of each paragraph. That first line of each paragraph can give you really good information about what that paragraph is about. So hopefully by now you have found a relevant text or a relevant part of a text using the previous strategies. So the goal now is to find the right sections of a particular text or a chapter or an article, and then the hope is that once we find that, we can then read that deeply and critically. So now I'm going to look at actually how to find the right sections or the right parts of a text. So scanning is another way that we can do that, and scanning is about looking for a particular piece of information. When we scan for information, we usually know what we're looking for. We have those keywords in our mind. And if you look at the image here and look at the way our eyes are moving, we're going right to left, and we're letting our eyes just move quickly through the text until we pick up maybe on a keyword that we're looking for. And often, once you've done the skimming part, you'll often get a much better sense of how the text is organized, and it can be easier for you to scan and can be done more quickly. So another technique which I'm going to put a name to is the ladder technique, and I think this is so helpful in helping you identify the smaller, more relevant parts of a text, whether it's a book, a chapter within a book, a journal article, an online article. The ladder technique is all about focusing on the first few lines of a paragraph. If a paragraph is structured well, just as your paragraphs when you're writing, if they're structured well, the reader should be able to understand what that paragraph is about within the first couple of lines. So we don't need to read every paragraph in detail. We can keep reading just the first few lines of each paragraph until we come across a paragraph that actually may be relevant to your needs. Then you can take your time and read that more deeply and critically and note take. So now hopefully you found the relevant parts of the text, you found the right parts of your book, of your article, of your research paper. It's really important when you're reading for an assignment to set reading goals, because you do have a goal. You are looking for particular information. So when you start to read deeply and critically, always think, why am I reading this? Read with your assignment question in mind, purposefully. Of course, we're reading not just to find answers to our questions, but we're also reading to understand as well, and remember this information. That's why spending time finding the right parts of the text, saving time in that area, will actually give us much more time to focus on the actual understanding of the information on those specific parts of the text. So, what information are you looking for when you're reading for your assignment? So, this strategy is all about thinking about the questions and the information that you want to find out. So, when you're reading for an assignment, you need to focus the reading around your assignment question. So, jot your assignment question down in the middle of a page or online if you're working online, and then make a note of any questions you have about it. For example, what do you want to find out from this text? What information are you looking for? And write these questions down. Also think about what section of your assignment are you working on. If you have a plan for your assignment already, you can actually focus on one particular part of your plan, and you can read just for that particular part of your assignment, which is so much more helpful than reading for the whole assignment. So actually having a plan for your assignment can really help focus the reading. And this will help you not get sidetracked and want to read everything, which is very easy to do. So before you read, always think, why am I reading this? What do I want to find out? Where will this fit into my assignment? And write your questions down. Think of it in a way as a treasure hunt. So this is a note-taking template here that you can easily copy or adapt. So if we look at the very top, we can see we have the book, the journal, the web page, the author. We have the reference details, and you can write these along the top here. Underneath that, we have our first question. So remember, we said write your question down. What information do you want to find out? We can write that question here. And then under each reference, we can make our notes. Then, how can I use this information? In this block here, we can actually write how we're going to use this information, how it's useful to the assignment question. And lastly, in the second box here, where will it fit into my plan? So you can be much more specific here about where this information is going to go. So you could use a template like this for your assignment reading. You could easily adapt this. You could easily make it more specific as well for your needs. But actually, sometimes having a reading template can be really, really helpful to keep you on track. So this is obviously just an example for my first question. You could repeat the same boxes for the second question that you have, and maybe a third question that you might have. So in a way, when we read for assignments, we need to think of it more as a treasure hunt to find particular information, more than a kind of an attempt to soak up and absorb everything that you come across, because we just don't have time for that at university. There's a lot to read and a lot to do. So a lot of students ask, do I need to make a plan first, or should I just start reading? And something that I think is quite important is to understand that actually you do need to do initial reading first, preliminary reading, superficial reading, in order to gain knowledge around the particular subject that you're writing about. If you have really good background knowledge already, you can possibly jump into making a plan. But if you don't, you will need to do initial reading first, just to get some really good background understanding to the assignment topic. Then, from that, number 2, you can then start to form an initial plan of key themes or key points you want to include. Once you've got that initial plan, you can then use it to direct the deep reading, so you can actually focus on one part of your assignment and just focus the reading around that. Things change. The deeper the reading you do, the more you might find you want to add ideas or change things slightly. So you can always review your assignment plan. But the important point here is that actually formulating a plan can really help focus your reading, because you just have to focus on one small part of your assignment and read just for that. So just a few last tips on note-taking. Whenever you read any source, whether it's online, journal, article, book, always record the full bibliographic details when you're note-taking. Put it at the top of the page so that you do not have to go back and find that reference again, especially when you're panicking trying to finish your assignment. It's really advisable, in order to avoid any kind of plagiarism, any level of plagiarism, to write notes in your own words whenever possible. Of course, if you want to take down quotes, fantastic, but always put a direct speech mark around it and a page number, just so that you can remember that was a quote. And I think these questions are fantastic for keeping us on track. It's very easy to keep reading and reading and reading and duplicating information. But here are some questions that may help you when you're reading for your assignment. Firstly, do you really need this information? If so, which bits? Will you really use it? When? How? Which part of your assignment? Thirdly, have you noted similar information already? If you have, make a note of this. You can group your authors together. And lastly, which part of your assignment do you want to answer with this information? So we're always thinking about, actually, where is this information going to fit in? How is it going to be useful? Keep these questions always in your mind as you're reading and note-taking. And I always think this is a great idea for all students to actually start to build your academic vocabulary around your subject. There will always be new terminology that you will need to remember, and I think keeping a dictionary of subject-specific words is a really lovely way to build up your bank of subject-specific vocabulary. So final thoughts, we're coming to the end of this very short workshop now, and I would like you to spend a couple of minutes or two reflecting again as you did in the beginning, so feel free to pause the slide here. Do any of the strategies in today's session help to tackle any of your reading concerns that you reflected on at the beginning of this workshop? Which ones? And from that, what strategies from this workshop might you try? And secondly, how confident do you feel about tackling reading for your next assignment now? Again, similar to the beginning, if you feel that you're not confident at all still, 1, and 10, feeling very confident. It might be somewhere in the middle. So take a minute, pause the slide, have a bit of personal reflection. So thank you for joining me today, and if you need any further support with any aspect of your academic skills, including reading, please have a look at all the other resources that we have on offer for you. We have videos, we have library guides, workshops and one-to-one appointments.